Hello everyone, it's your girl, Fish Titan. Now, if you've already been with my channel for a while, you probably already know what's up. If you don't already know what's up, I recommend that you would watch this video if you want to know a few more details about my gender journey. Because today, my friends, we're going to be going on a very special detail of that journey. You see, the upload date of this video, not the day I'm filming this, but the day I have uploaded this video marks my 1-year anniversary of starting HRT. I did, however, start HRT on June 25th of this year. Yep, I have been stuffing estrogen into my face for a full year now. I got the delicious blue pills right here to prove it. You know, sometimes I don't feel like I'm making as much progress as I might want to, and then I look at pictures of my older self, especially the early stages of my chest, and I realize, oh wow, yeah, stuff has been happening. So, you know, hopefully I'll be able to make even more progress within another year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. But even if I have a long way to go, I've come a long way as well. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today. I thought it'd be fun to get on here real quick, do something a little different from my usual content, and react to the first couple of Q&As that I ever uploaded with my face, as opposed to my dad's face. The first video we have up is called Will the Real Fish Titan Please Stand Up? Originally uploaded on November 16th of 2014. Let us get into it. Hi again, guys. Fish Titan Jr. here. Wait, so if I'm the actual Fish Titan, as opposed to my dad being Fish Titan, then wouldn't my child be the real Fish Titan Jr.? Back in July, I posted a video wherein I publicly put to rest the masquerade I had going on this channel for a while where I pretended to be my dad. If you're out of the loop and you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a link to the video in the description. There probably was also the same video where I proposed this Q&A, which, you know, I figured might be a good way for most of you to get more acquainted with the actual brains behind this operation. So, let's get right into it. Psychogenesis asks, do you really like having bagels in your socks? Does a bear shit in the woods? Zippy Zach Fresh asks, what's for dinner?
A bucket of baby spiders!
Can we just, like, throw the Amazing Atheist into a deep fryer and eat him for dinner instead? Kentucky Fried Edgelord. As of this recording, I am 16 years old and in my junior year of high school. I forgot to mention this while I was filming, but I'm not exactly crazy about the fact that I was so young for most of my YouTube career. I mean, it went better than it could have, I guess, and, you know, there's plenty of very young kids on YouTube doing well and making names for themselves, but, like, there was also some things that 16-year-old Izzy did not need to see or read.
Is this the Wusty Web?
No, it's the Burger King, duh. Any underrated poopers you would like to give a shout out to? I don't know if I would describe these guys as poopers per se, but there's Garuppy, who actually inspired me to do some of the artsier videos on this channel, like Maggie Brain, Lo-Fi Roses, Life Through a Car Window, stuff like that, and Pigeon Toucher. He is currently in a tennis with Captain Stupid, actually, but the rest of his videos, I don't know if I could properly classify those as YTPs, but they're definitely worth checking out if you want a good brain bending. What is your experience with Friendship is Magic? I watched a few episodes from like the first 2 seasons, and then after that I stopped caring about it. Young J 1997 LOL asks, what is your favorite poop you've made? Well, a few of them would probably have to be Fucking Clues Man and some of the rounds I did in my first tennis with Super Chops. And my second tennis. Favorite someone else has made. All 4 of IT Guy 1's D6 poops. Man, I miss that guy's videos. IT Guy 1, not D6, for the record. I think I did have some of them saved on my Windows XP computer that I had back when I was still in Juno, but I don't think that hard drive is still alive, unfortunately. RIP. And A Nightmare in Blue, and It's a Good Thing I Have Some Shoe Stickers by Chemistry Guy. If squirrels taste like sundaes, then why is your favorite number of the alphabet?
Why'd you say Burma? I'm panicked!
D Squares asks, are you a big fan of D Sigs, and what made you start using his videos for poops? Well, I remember losing interest in some of his newer output for a while. Yeah. I don't even remember like when this was, but I remember there being some video he put out where he was just like talking about cartoon characters or something, and he got to the Powerpuff Girls, and he basically was just talking about the most basic ass headcanons you could have for the Powerpuff Girls, like Buttercup being a lesbian, Bubbles being a dumb blonde. I don't remember what he said for Blossom, but yeah, it was about where I was like, you might be running out of ideas, dude. You know, I might check in on his main and his second channel every once in a blue moon. I haven't for a while. As for what inspired me to start pooping him, it was seeing IT Guys 1's poops of him. Specifically, Black Men Doesn't Make Sense, which I discovered after having stumbled upon the Black Man Loves Pokemon video. And I don't remember seeing very many other decent D6 poops at the time. There was one guy who was copying IT Guy 1, but that was about it. Man, I wonder how many other people have made D6 videos because of mine. I'm a fucking trendsetter, what can I say? Who inspired you to take up pooping? Probably Chemistry Guy and Volatile Projects, the latter of which hasn't done anything in a long minute, so wherever that guy is, I hope he's doing fine. What can we expect to see in future poops? New effects and sources, at least. I mean, I've been kind of self-doubting of my ability to make more videos for the foreseeable future. Oh yeah, I wouldn't know anything about that past, Izzy. Where were you at 10:35 p.m. on the night Peter Enos was killed? I was probably trying to get to sleep and failing because my stepbrother was blasting his shitty rap music. DG Television Network asks, why you such a gay bick? Why am I such a gay bitch? Why wouldn't I be? Don't you know?
Step 3 with bitch, drop the T, cause Bick is Latin for generosity.
Man, remember when South Park was actually worth watching?
But she did have a penis.
Me fucking neither. So, are you asking me why I'm so generous? Because I don't see how that makes me gay. Or how that is gay. Anything can be gay if you believe hard enough. How do you feel about bear claws in your gloves? I don't like that quite as much. It's not very comfortable, and it makes my hands look deformed. Lotso Malarkey asks, what is your opinion on YTP being an underground operation? Would you like it to remain hidden, or would you like it to open up to the mainstream media? I don't really know if I would care either way. I will say this, there have been times where it's made me feel like a bit of an outsider with an artistic edge, just because... Yeah, alright, you fucking high schooler. I'm an outsider with an artistic edge. I'm different, man. I'm not like other girls, okay? It kind of rests outside of the realm of common knowledge and everyday practices of the common man, but at the same time, I can't really think of anyone I've shown it to who's necessarily been closed-minded about it, so... Chemistry Guy asks, I'd love to know more about the time you took your poop to the film festival. How you got in the door, any math, blah, flat, fuck, any aftermath, or other fun details. Okay, I will give my past self this. I did have some pretty good editing bits in here. Well, my dad actually suggested that I submit a poop to the film festival, well, for the lulz. The local film festival that I submitted it to is called the Jump Film Festival. It's held in Juneau, Alaska, twice a year, once in the summer, once in the winter. And it's mostly for the sake of just local filmmakers trying to make names for themselves, so there isn't any, like, prizes or competition or anything like that. It's just kind of all in good fun. And my big brother in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program, Pat Race, is one of the main heads in charge of the whole thing. He has a site for webcomics and videos called Alaska Robotics, and he runs a comic book shop in downtown Juneau. And I've been friends with him for 7 years now, and actually gave him entries for the Jump long before I considered putting the poops in the film festival. And I also showed him my poops way beforehand. That is true about my previous Jump entries. One of them was a fucking, Teletubbies / Daft Punk AMV that I made when I was a kid. I'm pretty sure that video does not exist anymore. Also, 2 of the paraeducators at my high school, both women, went to the same screening of the Jump Fest that I did. And after the show, one of them told me, I used to watch Blue's Clues all the time with my boys, and it was so special to me to see your version of it. They also told me that during the Blue's Clues poop, one of them had fallen in the aisle from laughing so hard, but I didn't notice because I was too busy cowering in shame behind my iPod, filming the damn thing.
Hitler took the guns, Stalin took the guns, Mao took the guns, Santa took the guns, God took the guns, fleas took the guns, ducks took the guns, Tyrannosaurus
Who cuts your hair? I have a magical, voluptuous little pixie named Ella who lives in my sock drawer, so that I just knock on whenever I want her to cut my hair. Why'd you have to bring up that she was thick? Thick thighs save lives. Serial K86 asks, favorite music artists other than Death Grips? I mean, if you want to be a high school edgelord like I once was, then Death Grips is really all you need. Oh my god, this frame I lost. Fuck. For a long chunk of time now, another one of my favorite bands has been Neutral Milk Hotel, and Steve Burns has a solo album which he released after he left Blues Clues. It's called Songs for Dust Mites. I would recommend it. I also really like this Bandcamp musician named Modern Scar who does kind of lo-fi, ambient, hip-hop stuff. And he's still making music today, which was a nice surprise for me, definitely. And he also has some rap albums where he gets on the mic, but I couldn't really get into those because they're a little formulaic, in terms of song structure at least, so I would recommend his instrumental stuff. You know, I remember he actually had some, like, spoken word stuff earlier on in his discography that was actually pretty cool, but then once you get to the albums that sound more like what one would traditionally think of when they think of rap music, his voice got a lot deeper in a way that didn't necessarily sound all that good, so I don't know what happened. And another guy with a Bandcamp named Psychosis, who has some good mashups under his belt. Yeah, that's how much of an insufferable hipster I was in high school, is that I unironically listened to mashups that I'm pretty sure we're supposed to be ironic. Ah, yes, the boys. They Might Be Giants, which I grew up with, but I haven't actually sat down and listened to one of their albums in like 4 million years, so I should probably do that. Yeah, having actually found the time to sit down and listen to They Might Be Giants on purpose, can confirm, still a good band. Also a little bit of Tom Waits, and Yo-Yo Ma has a double album of Bach cello suites, which I have loved since I was in middle school. Bad Bad Not Good, and Kind of Blue by Miles Davis, and some of Johnny Wenzer's stuff. I say some because if you look at his hashtag mixtapes, they're pretty much the same song for like 4 albums straight, with like a few standout variations on the formula. Yeah, that really is one of those things where I listen to it out of nostalgia, and I'm just like, yeah, I really can't enjoy this for any other reason than nostalgia. Also, a while ago I checked out The Caretaker and Empty Bliss Beyond This World, which is basically like Vaporwave, except it uses samples from like old obscure jazz records. I Am Out of Ideas asks, do you have a forest nearby? Because I do. Not that I know of, but I live in a rainforest state. Does that count? Yeah, you had a fucking forest nearby, you doofus. I am not sure if I have a forest nearby where I live now, but given that I'm in just a different part of the north, it's possible. Can you make Vaporwave? I probably could, but I haven't really tried it before. Give me a minute. Riveting, I know. Okay, the punchline was definitely there, but the build-up needed some work. War Cannibal asks, when did you stop playing with Barbie dolls? Roughly about 16 years ago. That might be the toxic masculinity talking, bro. Cause, I mean, playing with Barbie dolls, it's just the thing boys just don't do, right? Right? I mean, not that I've ever really wanted to play with Barbie dolls all that much, but it would have been nice for me to at least have a tea party. Can I borrow your vibrator? No, but you can sit between the... 16-year-old me, ladies and gentlemen. Although, as one of the few trans women who do not want bottom surgery, that line do be hitting different. Oh, God, this part. Hey, kid, wanna yiff? Depends on who or what I get to yiff with. Just be glad you didn't actually see her nipples that time. Do you think people will believe your dad makes poops even after your reveal? Maybe? He obviously doesn't know quite as much as I do about editing software, and that's no shade, it's just not his particular area of expertise. But he is a weird fucking dude. I mean, he raised me on Monty Python, for fuck's sake. Well, he is funny, but his comedic expertise lies in stage presence and his verbal auxiliary. He does improv, poetry... Did I mean to say auxiliary there, or artillery?
Artillery! Blowing up your auxiliary! Ha!
Because auxiliary is like secondary, right? So, I guess if I meant that in the sense that his vocabulary is just like a supplement to his comedy, I don't fucking know. I could have just said vocabulary. That's the kind of fucking high schooler I was as well, just trying to use big words to sound smart even if I don't fucking know what they mean. Standing in his shorts on the front porch yelling at the world. Sean Keogh, 1991, asks, only if he can fly me to his magical snowman party. That soundtrack still slaps, honestly.
Do you think Michael Rosen is becoming a boring source? Well, before I can explain why I used to shy away from Michael for so long, I have to get this out there. I was actually diagnosed with a brain-based difference, otherwise unspecified, on the autism spectrum.
You know, you don't have to put everything in air quotes.
Pretty much all of my triggers, which is a word I hate using because of all the sheltered little special snowflake princesses on Tumblr.
Yeah, because those pesky SJWs are the only people who ever talk about triggers. Am I right, fellas? Not like the rest of us normal folk who are so out of touch with our emotions, other than just bottling them down, that we silently judge those who are emotionally honest with themselves. I mean, this is not to say that Tumblr hasn't had any problems with stuff like this in the past. It certainly has, but still, high school Izzy must have worked at a movie theater, because I was doing a lot of projecting!
My triggers all have to do with the facial area and some of the capabilities and functions thereof, like bugging your eyes out, which, of course, is something Michael utilizes pretty often, so it has been a little problematic. There have been times where I've been able to laugh off some of his facial expressions, but it obviously wasn't always easy. Now, for a while, I think last year or the year before that, it felt like whenever I clicked on a Michael Rosen poop, the particular string of videos that I had chosen to watch were required to include this,
I'm talking,
and or this.
Yeah, I totally don't have any triggers, you guys. I also remember during this period of time, AVGN was actually kind of a trigger for me for largely the same reasons that Michael Rosen was a trigger for me. Especially when he'd just fucking pop up in a video like apropos of nothing.
Stupid brain functions topped with the fact that these two clips were rising in popularity as overused tropes, especially the latter. That was kind of when I said, sayonara, bitch.
Sayonara, bitch. I mean, I joke, but I'm glad that 16-year-old me was able to get this off their chest eventually, because if I hadn't, I don't know what the fuck would have happened.
Check back in with him every now and then, but I still occasionally got greeted by bug-eyed Michael either looking at me right in the face or cross-eyed. It was actually my intentional avoidance of those two tropes.
Avoid dance.
I don't say evasion, I say avoision.
Which made the last Michael Rosen video that I did so much fun to make, and it was, well, made me willing to give Michael a second chance. But shortly after that video came out, I watched the first episode of Stuart K. Riley's Apoopcalypse, and this happened.
Alright, Michael, go to the van and get us a shitload of dime.
Yeah. So I was more or less on the fence about it for a while, because there was that, which was pretty fucking disappointing at the time.
I'm pretty sure the first time I saw that video, I was just having a particularly bad day, so that did not help. Which, you know, I realized, like, this is all, like, kinda on me. Like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, I have these problems, so everyone has to conform to my taste. No. It's just for a while, I didn't really know how to, like, navigate the internet or myself while trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I guess I do feel like there is still a bit of a problem of people using certain AVGN or Michael Rosen memes just apropos of fucking nothing in a video, but it just doesn't happen, like, quite as often as it did back in 2014.
I don't know, as for where I stand on it now, I might still avoid the you-know-whats whenever I can, but I might also check back in with Michael every now and then. 1-year-old Too Many asks, do you have any hobbies or aspirations outside of YouTube? Well, in my spare time, I like to practice random songs on my godparents' upright piano from the 20s, which is actually over there.
I miss that piano.
There's also photography. If I'm outside and I have my iPhone on me, I'll use that to snap anything that catches my eye.
Yeah, that's how you can tell I had no friends in high school. There's no people in these photos.
But also, for a while, I have been using a Superheads wide and slim camera with 35mm film for the sole purpose of dunking the rolls in various liquids before processing them so that they end up with a bunch of subtle blobs and changes in color and spots where I expose the photo to light.
Did I mention I was a hipster?
Manipulations to the photo, pretty much. I also come up with a lot of ideas for movies and short films and then spend 5 minutes asking myself, wait, how exactly is this going to work? What am I even fucking thinking?
Yeah, there was one script I remember writing that had kind of a racist joke, honestly. I'm glad that one never saw the light of day, and that's, you know, I've grown past writing shit like that. Actually, I believe I tried running a short film channel on YouTube with my dad. I don't don't know if it still exists, and if it does, please don't fucking bother me about it. I honestly don't care that much. I don't want to know.
Is YTP a mere shadow of his former glory, or am I just fucking old? Could be both, you never know. 8-Bit Templar asks, Buffalo, 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 Buffalo. A bowl! Do you regret making some of your older poops? That is, are you embarrassed by them? Yeah. For the longest time, I couldn't watch most of my older Blue's Clues poops.
Yeah, straight up and down, I just really don't care for most of my older Blue's Clues videos before maybe Steve Steps on Lego, if I'm being generous. Not even Bring on the Blues. Don't at me.
All the way through without cringing at most of the jokes. Heck, around the time Bring on the Blues was getting hyped up after I released the video of the film festival, I was kind of beginning to resent the way I went about making the video.
Yeah, I'm not even really sure, like, what about it is. Maybe it's purely overexposure from fame. I don't know. But I guess just the execution of some of the jokes I felt was a little corny, for lack of a better word. I do think it is a good sign that you're, like, growing as a person, as an artist, if you look back at your older work and cringe, and that's not even getting to some of the more problematic jokes I've made. Okay, since I feel like I was dancing around it in the footage I shot, I'd like to take this moment to formally apologize for all the offensive slur-based humor that I've exhibited, particularly on my online platform. While I do feel like I have grown out of the sort of mentality that would lead me to believe it's okay for me to make offensive jokes like that, I realize that as someone who has white privilege, I still have a lot of work to do, and I will try to keep improving wherever I can. Now, let's get back to the jokes.
I don't know, I just kind of find myself constantly shifting in and out of different phases and frames of mind with my artistic output.
What's good?
Nothing is good. Stomper Yoshi asks, any tips for upcoming YTPers? Do anything you can to branch out in effects or sources or whatnot, but, you know, just make sure it's organic and something you really enjoy doing. But, you know, at the same time, don't hesitate to use a source more than once if you really like that. And don't let anyone give you shit for it. You know, if there is like a problem among your audience, but they're in the minority, then I guess you could not think too much of it, but if they're in the majority, then you could probably step back and reconsider what you're doing.
Yeah, I've literally only ever had, like, one person who used to watch my videos complain about the fact that I was using Blue's Clues so often. Or at least one person that I can remember, and I'm pretty sure they're not even around anymore, so fuck them.
Siflor asks, will you do more Blue's Clues, please? I don't know about that, hon.
Now, our first clue that Izzy is a useless egg.
I remember that clue.
Okay, I mean, I can kind of laugh at this stupid fucking thing now, but I think at least one reason why it still kind of stung for me to see for a while is because of how I reacted to this costume, I guess, because I may have mentioned this on the channel before, but this was a Halloween costume that I did in, like, 11th grade. Would have been around the time that I filmed this video. And of course, everyone at my school loved it. Like, I got a lot of people complimenting me on the costume and recognizing me and being like, oh my god, Blue's Clues, ah! So, you know, I was riding that high for a little bit, and then I looked at some pictures of it after the fact, and I started to notice all the things that were wrong with it. Specifically the makeup. I was using like a, what was it, like a lip pencil for the eyeshadow and some other thing for the lip. And I think the reason I was just cringing at this costume for so long was because I felt like I wasn't doing a feminine costume well enough. That was definitely my reasoning for the next Halloween costume I did, which was, of course, the manliest man out of all the alpha men, Jeff Mangum from Neutral Milk Hotel.
Look, I didn't dress like, I didn't look good enough when I dressed like a woman. I obviously have to dress more masculinely for my next costume in order to balance it out.
And then years later, I would be like,
I'm totally still cis, I just like cross-dressing.
yeah, it's not that funny, is he?
Well, maybe. Just don't expect a shit ton more of them. Maggot Rat asks, best ways to spend a day off from life?
I don't know, take a walk outside. Instruments of torture for content creation are mayonnaise,
Well, actually, I use Sony Vegas Pro 10 for my main editing and pitch shifting, and Sony Vegas Movie Studio Platinum 11 for audio effects like vibrato or flange, reverb, stuff like that. And I also use a Vidimux 2.5 to get this effect. It's the phone. What happened to the bagel in the sock? The baby! I ate it, that's what. The bagel, not the baby. I don't know what happened to the baby. I don't even know what baby you're talking about. JamCam asks, what sources do you want to see people use? Danger Mouse and Monty Python. And maybe Todd in the Shadows. See if anyone can top Super Chops' Todd poop, because that's the best one I've seen so far, I have to say.
Favorite Death Grapes song? Fuck is with your questions, I don't even get hurt.
Questions, Fuck it with your questions, I don't want to get hurt?
Fuck is with your questions, I don't even get hurt.
I'm trying to remember, was that like something from a fake leaked track list? Because I remember that being a thing in the Death Grips subreddit, at least. Or was that something I came up with in a dream?
Who are you and what have you done to the real Fish Titan? Fish Titan was never actually real. He was a figurehead invented by the Illuminati and the 64th degree Masonists to try and broadcast their new brand of satirical mind control.
I mean, if you want to talk about mind control, I've already fallen victim to the trans agenda.
He's actually the only 64th level Mason to actually allude to his name, because not a lot of people know that the Masons actually go up to 64 levels and they just keep everything after the 33rd degree on the down low.
Hey now, she's out here living her best life and you gotta respect her new pronouns.
Hulu Otaku asks, what collabs have you been featured in and do you ever plan to host a collab? I have on my channel a playlist of collabs I've been in, and I'm probably never gonna host a collab myself. I tried to once and it fell flat on its face, and I'll probably have too much shit to do in the future to try and expand my energy into that.
Yeah, that was specifically a Legend of Zelda themed collab. I don't know if I didn't make the guidelines clear enough for like what kind of sources I wanted people to use, but I got one video that was literally just like 5 minutes of some fucking gameplay footage with a bunch of effects on it, and like nothing else was done to it. Although, I might potentially have a collab idea for the next anniversary of this channel.
Are you familiar with the band XTC? Not really, but I am familiar with the band EMF, which a lot of people have speculated stands for Ecstasy Motherfuckers, but they themselves said it stands for Ipsum Mad Funkers, which, no idea what that means.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to rewatch the Todd in the Shadows video on that.
Malcolm89 asks, will you ever make a YouTube poop of the angry video game nerd? Fuck to the no.
Yes, you will. It's just the nature of this beast.
Emperor Lemon or Cartoon Lover 98?
Cartoon Lover 98 is probably better than Emperor Lemon at this point.
What things were you scared of as a kid? Heights. I might have also been afraid of the dark. If you could bring back any retired pooper, who would it be and why? Probably Timothée LSD. I don't care if his retirement is tentative, that guy is definitely an original. I might also bring back Mountain Dew Man circa early 2013.
You know, actually at this point I think I'd probably just let her do whatever she wants outside of YouTube at this point, whatever she is doing right now.
Current favorite poopers. Probably Chemistry Guy and maybe Shroomhead 1, even though he hasn't, made anything in a while, but he does have a lot of stuff that I like. Speaking of current, though, I haven't really bothered checking out a lot of new poopers, because a lot of times what happens is I click on a video by someone I haven't seen before, and then they fucking stick an AVGN joke in the latter half of the video, and it kills the momentum for me. But if you guys know of any poopers you think I might like, let me know. Alright, so that's that. Thanks for all the questions, and thanks for sticking around with me as long as you have, and thanks for reacting to my new shift in image so well, and I will see you guys later. Bye.
That was, certainly a video. Definitely some things in there that haven't held up very well, but also not quite as bad as I thought it would be in other respects, so